this delay. I hope you're doing well. It's another session of our Friday office hours for iFind You Close. Absolutely free for our members and free for a short time for our guests. So thank you so very much for hanging out with us on this Friday. Today, we're going to talk about the speaking industry outlook. Of course, if you have any questions around anything, make sure you drop them into the comment box. We're coming to you live here on YouTube. So if you're watching within our program, and that means I need to go over here and just make sure everything is operating properly inside of our iFind You Close so people can come find us, little things that I forget sometimes. But we're going to talk about some of the speaking industry outlook and what we need to do to be prepared as a speaker. So today we're going to talk about an unpopular topic, that is COVID and mask. I know you're probably like, oh my gosh, we're about to get political. Actually, we're not, but we do have to start paying attention to what else is going on, because no matter what you feel or how you think about things, it is completely affecting us as speakers, and it's going to affect us as speakers for just a little while. So we got to make sure that we have all of our ducks in a row so that we can be prepared when we are getting out there. So for my new people, my guests who are joining us, thank you so very much. If you are interested in getting speaking opportunities delivered, all you got to do is just upgrade. Like, seriously, just upgrade. We would love to have you be a part of iFind You Close as soon as I can figure out what I'm doing over here on my platform, which is not working because, that's just how these things work. That is how these things work over here. Oh my gosh, this is like falling apart right in my face. Technology, people, technology. That's all I can say. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into this. I actually have some notes for today. So I'm going to bring up my notes while I am also trying to do multiple things. And I'm going to invite you to follow along on our on our Pinterest board. I want you to come check out the iFind You Close Pinterest board. I'll give you a preview of what that looks like, because we're actually taking a little bit of time and, giving some little fun little boards on like what to wear when you're on stage. If you are the ultra professional, if you're just going for fun, if you're just going for laid back, we have all those types of things over there on the Pinterest board. So we'd love for you to come join us. I am like really stalling trying to get my notes up and going. It's like the day the computer doesn't want to do what it wants to do, or it's doing what it does want to do, which is not what I wanted to do. Am I the only one with that problem? I think it is just me. All right, so let's go ahead and fix this over here. So for those of you who are joining us inside of iFind You Close, thank you so very much for watching. And of course, any questions you have, you can put them in the comment box here on YouTube. All right, I actually do have notes for today, which I actually lost on my computer, because that's what I do. All right, so we're going to talk about international gigs, safety riders, mask mandates, and something I'm going to talk about this week and next week, and that's the rise of audio-only events, just so that you'll have more options as a speaker, because I know all of us, we want to be on stage, but we also need to be flexible. So flexible with all the things that are going on. So let's talk about international gigs. So for those of you who are international speakers, want to do a little bit more international speaking, the rest of the world is kind of in flux. Even though we might be doing a lot better here when it comes to COVID and the pandemic, a lot of parts of the world, they are getting hit pretty hard. So what we're seeing is no events right now, other than maybe some small local ones in the Asian countries. In the beginning, they were doing very well, and then things just kind of went, vaccine distribution, things like that. So they're still not having large events, and some of the events that were happening over there are slowly coming back because they're having to work with the cities. In Europe, we're starting to see mixed bag of everything, because for larger events, the ones that are definitely get you the big credibility, or if you're hitting bigger stages, they still have to work with the cities and the government to make sure everybody's safe. And also, they don't want to be that event where everybody got sick. Nope, nobody wants that event. So what you're seeing now, so in Spain, they are starting to open up events. It's a mixed bag with the locals. They're like no, some are like yes, let's do it, because we can't go through another year of not getting like that local vacation, holiday money. So people are kind of looking at things in that lens. And what they are talking about, like in Italy, they're talking about vaccine passports. Now, like I said, this is not anything political, it's just an is. So a lot of people are tossing around vaccine passports for events. We're starting to see a lot of countries that are requiring vaccine passports, vaccine verification. I won't say it's a passport, but your little vaccine card. A lot of people are wanting those requirements. We're kind of going old school with yellow fever books. That's for big time travelers if you have a yellow fever if you have a yellow fever book. But that's what we're starting to see, and people are requiring that to get into countries. Some countries are requiring it to get, past the line so you don't have to do all the quarantine stuff, but it's still kind of a mixed bag when it comes to events. So however you want to view things, you're going to have to take this into consideration when we get back to probably more full scale, larger events in international spaces. So just something to be aware of. And then on the event level, some people are tossing around whether or not we should require people to show their vaccines. Like, you don't have to get a vaccine, but to attend, people are kind of debating that. And then as a speaker, this is where you're going to have to start asking questions. So when it comes to these safety riders, when you're doing your contracts with people, you're going to have to start asking these questions. If you are ready to get out there, but you're still kind of uncertain, you may have to start putting a few safety riders into your contract. Like, everybody's going to have to juice up their hands before I shake them, or I want to make sure the microphone is clean, or I bring my own, whatever. Don't go extra diva, but you're going to have to kind of figure all of these things out and ask the questions. I mean, it doesn't hurt to ask the questions, even though people have gotten a little pissy with me when I've asked about live events. I'm like, are you requiring people to be vaccinated, or are you requiring people to wear masks? It is what it is. I mean, it never hurts to ask. For those of you who care, you should ask and, make your decisions accordingly. So just because you ask doesn't mean you're against it or anything. It's just like, I just want to know, like, am I wearing a mask? Are they wearing a mask? Is everybody vaccinated? Are people not vaccinated? Am I expected to lick people? Start asking these questions. If you start running into people that give you pushback, it's probably not really an event that you want to be a part of. So you're going to have to kind of, judge what's out there, ask the questions, and plan accordingly. That's what you're going to have to do as a speaker right now. And for those of you who are doing international gigs, don't be surprised if you want to get back into international, that a lot of places are requiring you to show proof of vaccination before you come into the country. It is what it is. That's what we're dealing with on this global scale. And hopefully we'll start seeing more international events come back. So this goes into the other conversation. Is about mask mandates in cities. And what's happening is a lot of large events, they want to come back. Trust me, they're losing money, and we have to kind of pay attention as a speaker when because we're part of these larger events. And what's happening with a lot of cities, say like Texas or the city of Austin, the Texas has dropped mask mandates for the entire state, which a lot of states are doing now. But the city of Austin has gone against them and said, no, we're going to do it. And this is starting to put event planners into like a mixed bag of, okay, so who are we listening to? And, I know people are like, you go and do what you need to do. But, at the end of the day, it's called insurance, safety, and you don't want a bad reputation. That's the last thing an event wants to do, is have a bad reputation, no matter what the issue is. So what we're starting to see is the events are kind of like not really sure, which is either forcing them to do small, safety conscious events or canceling the events, going virtual. So what that means for you as a speaker is being flexible. You're going to have to be flexible, and don't be surprised if the event that you thought was going live turns out to be virtual. And what's happening with these small safety conscious events is they are bringing in speakers, but they're only letting a certain amount of speakers come in. Typically, it's going to be your keynote speakers. Those are the ones in the paid positions, or just a handful of speakers, and everybody else is being routed to either virtual or pre-recorded events or pre-recorded sessions. So just be aware of that. And I'm starting to see quite a bit of that, where they will bring 20 people in live. They will have an MC, and they will have like 1 or 2 keynotes live, but everybody else is part of the virtual part of the event, which means you're probably pre-recording a video. And I'm seeing a lot of this is a lot of pre-recorded videos, not necessarily live. So it's kind of faux live, where they just want you to, log in to type in and answer questions, but not like actually participate. So this is going to be something where you're going to have to start asking a lot of questions when you are going after events. And I'm starting to see a lot of events that are live plus hybrid. And you're going to have to ask, like, where will you be when it comes to the speaker placement? Because you don't want to get all hyped up and ready to travel, and then they say, oh, never mind, you get to stay home. But also, for those of you who are going after these keynote positions or live workshops, that's the other thing I'm seeing. A lot of these events, they're only paying for the live workshop. Like, the person in person is there live doing a workshop. Everybody else is at home. So you're going to have to negotiate properly. Now, there's some events that are going live. They're doing their thing. But negotiate properly, and just, make sure you know where you are going. With that, if you are going to be part of the pre-recorded event or the live event, start asking questions of what they're going to be doing with your content later. Are they going to package this up and sell it? Will you be able to put a little bit of your branding? And this is the cool thing now, is that you can put a little bit of your branding behind you if they kind of get a little weird with you with, we don't want you to sell anything or mention that you exist as a business. You can start, putting like back here. I might put my hand. You don't really see it because my picture is covering, but some of your branding for your company behind you, if you haven't started doing that, so that people will know where to find you. And you could do something pretty cool where you could put your, I'll actually move this out the way so you can see what I'm talking about. Where's my image? This is for my live event, but if you do a poster size like this, you can go to FedEx and you can put your website down at the bottom so that you can have some, brand placement, get like Coca-Cola in these movies. Start doing some brand placement in the background of your videos, especially if it's going to be pre-recorded, because you don't really know what's going to happen with it afterwards, if they're going to put it in a course. But ask those questions if they're going to sell it later. Because we need to make sure we are still covering CYA when it comes to who's making money off of our content, if it's somebody else or if it's us. With that, there's a lot going on as a speaker. So there's a lot of moving parts to this speaking stuff. The other thing that's happening is Clubhouse. Now, I know a lot of you have jumped on Clubhouse. I am not an iPhone user, so I have not had the privilege of enjoying Clubhouse. But I have a couple of clients who I actually do research for when it comes to speaking gigs, exclusively for them. And getting paid to do audio is a thing. Now, you may have to kind of be in celebrity status to do this, but this is now a thing because a lot of events, and I'm just saying events as not even just big events, but people who have these exclusive communities, Facebook groups, things like that, they're all shifting over to Clubhouse. And they are, I don't know the platform of Clubhouse because I haven't been on there, but from some of my clients who have done it, they bring in speakers, people to speak on topics, and they have large audiences. And so now people are negotiating between $5,000-$10,000 on the bigger scale celebrity side of coming in and doing 15 minutes of an appearance. And what they're doing is they're charging based on the time. This is not for 45 minutes. It's $5,000. Basically, people are coming in 15 minutes, $1,000. I'll do my thing and then I'm out. Even for some of the panels. Now, this is just something for you. You got to figure out where you are if you can negotiate hard on this. But a lot of events are now starting to add in Clubhouse audio only components to their events. I have a client who just did, he just emceed an event like 2 weeks ago. And as an MC, they wanted him to come in. He did the live portion of the event, which is a small social distance audience. Everybody else did pre recorded breakout sessions, and the speakers were paid to come on live. And by the way, one of the speakers didn't show up but still got paid. I know. And it was like big time agency and all that kind of stuff, but you know, that's what happens. Um, and with that, as the MC, they've asked him to keep going as the MC for some of these audio only events on Clubhouse. So just something to think about when you are looking at the whole landscape of speaking and what else you can do and what else you can negotiate. Remember, these are all just negotiations. Whereas you could say, you know what, I'll come in. How about we do this for $1,200? I can come in and do 15 minutes on Clubhouse as along with doing the breakout session and along with doing, writing a blog post. You're going to have to get very creative with how you want to position yourself and what you're willing to do so that we can go for longer term and more valuable services to people when it comes to speaking. So these are just a few of the things I want you to think about, especially when we're still dealing with this pandemic. It just is what it is. We're still dealing with the fallout of the pandemic. However you feel politically, it doesn't, this is it's exclusive of that. We're still dealing with the fallout of it, with people being very wary about live events, having live events, or doing small socially distanced, safety conscious events. And when we're getting into safety conscious events, that means some speakers will not be invited and some speakers will. And if you're one of the speakers that are invited, you have a little bit more room to start negotiating for a few more things, okay? So just remember that. And that is for a lot of the fall events, that's going to be the thing where you have some people there, everybody else is at home. And we'll see how it all works out because most of the events are for Q3 and Q4. For those of you who aren't getting up and going yet, start focusing on 2022. Right now, I'm still seeing like a glut of events kind of for the fall. So for those of you who are members of iFind You Close, you're seeing that as well. There's still a trend for virtual events. They are sourcing speakers in a very short amount of time. So you still have time to jump on a lot of virtual events to build up credibility, to convert from that as well. And what we're going to talk about next week is increasing your lead generation from virtual events, because in my experience right now, if you do this well, virtual events are really good for generating leads and generating money if you do it properly. So we'll talk about that next week. Of course, if you have any questions around anything, hopefully this was useful. You can use it and it'll help you kind of start thinking about what you want to do when it comes to live events, the rest of the year, virtual events, questions to ask, all of those things. And especially for those of you who are like me and you want to get back to international travel, these are just a few other things that we have to start thinking about. I know we talked about Asia and Europe going south. They are still having quite a few issues, south of us, especially in like countries like Brazil. So South America is still kind of going through a few things. Mexico is open, but still going through a few things. Australia and New Zealand seem to be doing very, very well. They are doing large events, but they are not making it extremely easy for people to get into the country. So that's what you're doing. Like they're like all partying and it's like, but you're not invited. So just things to think about as we keep dealing with the fallout of this pandemic. Like I said, if you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the comment box. I'll be sure to have an answer for you. For those of you who are members, I appreciate you. For everyone else, if you are a guest, thank you for being here. Consider joining us. Every Monday, we send out brand new speaking opportunities. And there is a new course. Oh, and I forgot to tell you, I would love for you to come check us out on our Pinterest page. It is iFind You Close on Pinterest, and we're starting to get some boards in there. So we have the Travel the World collection, call for speakers. This is just our videos of what we're doing. But, some motivation, carry on travel bags for our people who are starting, who want to get back into travel. Ways you can make money as a speaker. Like I said, just being creative. And then, of course, my favorite one is what to wear on stage. And sore throat remedies. Oh my gosh, I know. We got to start taking care of our voices. Like I'm not taking care of mine right now, cuz it's deciding to leave at this exact moment. So we have some sore throat remedies, so go check us out on our Pinterest board. With that, I appreciate you. Have an amazing Friday. Don't party too hard this weekend, and I will see you next Friday. Bye.